Hey, what's up? Hope you're doing all right. Good to see you as always. And today I wanted to elaborate more on my 3 routing setups I have within TotalMix, which help me here in the creative process of my hybrid studio, or like our grandfathers used to call it, the studio. So I'm hoping by the end of this, 1, you'll have a better understanding of TotalMix, and 2, it might open up your brain a bit into thinking of new possible routings within your current setup, whether you have TotalMix or not. Also, this video is not sponsored by RME. I'm just really enjoying this thing, and I wanted to help people understand the things I struggled with. Okay, so TotalMix is this crazy routing software that comes with RME interfaces. It's tricky to understand, and right when you think you understand it, it just tombstones your brain from the top ropes. So I'm gonna try and give you the super simple explanation of how it works. So what we're looking at here is our hardware inputs, like the physical inputs on your device. Then in the middle section is our software playback. So anything happening within our DAW or our computer will show up here. Most everything from your computer will be showing up under the 1-2 software playback channel, unless, for example, within a DAW, I send audio out to 3-4 because I'm using an external instrument effect or something along those lines. If that's the case and I do send audio out to 3-4, it'll show up here in TotalMix under software playback analog 3-4. Now at the bottom of TotalMix is our hardware physical outputs of our interface, the jacks on the back, if you will. The 2 big things that confused me when I first dove into TotalMix were when I'm in submix mode, the best mode, aka I'm afraid to push the other button. When you're in that mode and you click or adjust any of these hardware output tracks down here, everything above switches up and changes. That's because when you click or adjust any of the tracks in the hardware outputs section, you're now able to adjust all the individual level amounts of your software playback and your hardware inputs going to that physical hardware output. And as the name states, you're setting up a submix for that specific track. Let's put this to practice by showing you one of my favorite snapshots, basically a preset, which is the octatrack sample snapshot. And this will also explain my second confusion with TotalMix, which is also one of its most powerful features, Loopback. So when I load the octatrack sample snapshot, I have the RME hardware outputs 3-4 connected to my octatrack from my patch bay. Now the octatrack is waiting to sample anything from the hardware outputs 3-4. In TotalMix, when I click hardware outputs 3-4, I'm able to pick and choose which inputs are going to the hardware outputs 3-4. So I can send my Nord there, my Pro 3, and even my software playback 1-2, which is anything happening on my computer, meaning I can sample YouTube, Netflix, or whatever might be playing through my laptop. And most importantly, I can make sure that my octatrack itself is not coming back into outputs 3-4, which would introduce feedback. You still with me? You might have to watch that one back again a couple times just to really let it sink in. Now let's jump to the most impactful snapshot for me, which is 100% inspired by how Decap uses his RME interfaces, and I call it the record snapshot. I think his is called something extremely similar, if not the same thing. And it wasn't until I actually got TotalMix and an RME interface that I realized exactly what was going on in his short video about it, and then I realized you could probably do this with other interfaces as well. I know you could do this with older Focusrite interfaces, but not the newer ranges where they got rid of their Loopback feature for some reason. So in this snapshot, I've sacrificed my SPDIF hardware outputs and turned Loopback on within that specific hardware outputs settings. And the easiest way to understand Loopback is to imagine me going out of the SPDIF outputs of my RME and going right back into the SPDIF inputs of my RME, creating a loop, right? But instead of me doing it IRL, it's virtually inside the RME interface itself. And this means it will override any incoming signal on the SPDIF channel or whatever hardware output channel you enabled the loopback on. So why would I want to do this, right? Well, remember how I can pick and choose what individual tracks go to what output and by how much? Well, I can select everything in my studio and have it go to one single track. And at first I thought this setup was a little counterintuitive because I've always been of the mind that I wanted to record everything in separately, right? Well, The way I make music right now is kind of recording things in as I go. And I'm rarely in here like an octopus playing multiple keyboards and sequencers and needing to track them in all at the same time and track them all separately, right? So this saves me time from trying to remember what channel is what. And I can just duplicate this single channel a ton of times and record things in as I need them. And this also helps keep my session nice and tidy. I used to have this huge default template when I was rocking 16 inputs of synths at one time with overbridge included, and I'd only ever really use 2 synths at a time. So it was just this giant wall of distracting, overwhelming options that just hung over my head while I tried to stay creative. It's basically like, trying to hang a painting, and to do so you pour out all your tools at once, just in case, when in reality you could have just grabbed the thumbtack that you needed to finish the job quick and easy. Now, if I wanted to go old school Rick, I can. In Live, I can just create a new audio track and select whatever channel my Nord is on. Or if I wanted to go mega old school Rick style, I have a snapshot called Old School Ableton, where nothing is being routed out of the outputs other than their software playback channels. So output 3/4 is going to 3/4, 5/6 to 5/6. And this is just an easy way to send signals from Ableton Live to effects pedals and then figure out which channels I want to reroute them back in on. Does any of this make sense, right? The record snapshot for me is super awesome, especially if you're in Logic Pro, because when you duplicate a track in Logic Pro, it does not duplicate all the recorded sounds of that track, just the settings and the track inputs, or like the track settings. It's a bit more annoying in Ableton Live, but it's as easy as hitting Command D to duplicate the track, then you just right click on the track, select track content, and hit delete. I hope this helped you get a better understanding of TotalMix, as well as some possibilities, I guess, within your studio routing. I've been able to apply some of these weird mixing routing techniques, right, within hardware mixers at work, or routings like within the octatrack itself. And learning TotalMix has been pretty nuts, especially for the synth hybrid style studio, because the routings are pretty much endless. And now it's really got me thinking about MIDI routing, which TotalMix cannot do, but other fun devices can. Anyway, I hope you learned something here today, and I hope to see you again next week, my friend. Until then, share the love, share the knowledge. Knowledge is power. Peace. All right, let's make some music.